And we now move on to a conversation that reflects a very powerful shift in India's financial ecosystem. So this next fireside chat is titled The Rise of India's New Investor Class. So that's right, with increasing financial awareness and digital access and all these evolving investment avenues, India is witnessing the emergence of a new generation of investors. And they're here to stay. They're shaping the markets, ladies and gentlemen. So to moderate this next discussion, if I could have back on stage our technology editor with Times Network, Manas Tiwari. Manas, let's have you back on stage, please, to lead us to this discussion. And joining him for this insightful conversation, I ask that you now please welcome. Is Manas with us? Let's quickly have Manas back on stage. All right. And ladies and gentlemen, I think this is going to be an incredibly special session because this is a familiar face that we've all looked to in the past for inspiration, for tips, for advice. All right. And what we're going to do is instead switch directions for a quick moment. Ashish Parikh had moderated a few sessions earlier in the afternoon, and I'd like to please now invite him back on stage. He is news anchor and principal correspondent with the Times Network. Ashish, huge round of applause. We'll have you take this discussion forward, please. All right. And joining him, CA Rachana Ranade, teacher, financial educator, and entrepreneur. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this was the name I promised you. It's a discussion that promises to be a highly interactive one. We're at the edge of our seats to see how the conversation unfolds. And with that, Ashish, over to you.
All right, Pooja, thank you so much for that introduction. And throughout the course of the day, we've been speaking about a lot of topics and, a lot of jargons filled as well in the conversations. But I can promise you during this discussion, that's not going to be the case. And usually when I start a discussion, I start with an introduction of the person with me, but I don't think the person sitting with me right now on the stage needs an introduction. She's India's biggest financial influencer, and more than that, she's set a benchmark when it comes to quality and quality influencing. Rachana Ranade, it's an absolute pleasure having you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And let's continue the conversation we were having off stage as well. I told you I'm a news person. We are obsessed with headlines, and the headlines these days is about the Demat accounts in India. Everyone says, well, India mein bahut sare investors aa gaye. There's a lot of investors in India. And numbers also suggest it. 220 million Demat accounts in fiscal year 26. But as a journalist, my job is to look closer. And when I look closer, SEBI data shows that only 33% of those Demat accounts are active. Yeah. Why is there a gap?
So before I answer your question, I would want to just quickly ask, how many of you sitting right here have a Demat account? Okay, almost everyone is raising their hand. Why aren't few raising their hands? I'm not going to ask how much worth stocks you have. Okay, how many of your Demat accounts are active? You trade regularly. Your data is different, huh?
Well, there's a journalist in the room, so I think they're just being careful.
I know. But yes, I totally agree with the fact that the number of Demat accounts which are active versus which will be dormant, there's going to be a big gap. One thing is for sure that I'm at least happy that the number of Demat accounts are increasing at a crazy pace. I started back in 2006. So at that time, opening a Demat account was like a big task. Because I remember signing like 50 pages one by one. Every single page we used to sign. And by the end of the 50th page, I used to be like, is this the same signature that I signed on the very first page? So that used to be such a big pain. And now with more and more digitization, ease of KYC, I think accessibility is something which has been absolutely sorted. Now it is about awareness. So I just feel that accessibility has far surpassed awareness, because of which this gap has widened.
Do you also suggest there's this, the word they use these days is FOMO? I mean, a lot of people start their Demat accounts because of FOMO. They see it online, people recommending, people getting rich and wealthy because of stock investing. And suddenly they realize, well, the market isn't that easy, and then they don't invest. Do you think that also is a reason?
Yeah, I think typically when big headline IPOs hit the market, that is when maximum number of Demat accounts get opened. I think back in 2008 or 9, there was some Reliance company, I think Reliance Infrastructure, which had come up with its IPO. IPO. And that was a time when maximum number of Demat accounts got opened. I'm sure with hopefully the upcoming NSE IPO, there'll be way more investors who will also be again very much into all these things. So when it's about IPO investing, I'm sure more and more Demat accounts will be opened. Question is about, are they really aware about which stocks do they want to choose apart from the IPO? Because once they invest in the IPO, tick, what next? And that's where the number of dormant accounts starts to increase. So I think there has to be some solution for increasing the awareness. Once that is ticked off, I think the more and more number of accounts that are just lying out there, they'll be more active.
Well, you say you started in 2006, that's way back, and there's this, joke that's floating on the internet, the fact that Gen Z doesn't behave the way any previous generation did, be it in workplace or in their schools or colleges. Have you seen such behavior on, investment platforms as well? Is there a significant difference in the investing behavior of those in their 20s and their early 30s compared to the previous generations? Have you seen something?
I definitely feel that they are way more informed as compared to other generations. Because they are the ones who have knowledge at their fingertips. I was just sharing the same thing with you, that when I started back in 2006, the only source of me getting knowledge was television, where very few number of channels used to exist which used to talk about stock market, and that too in such heavy English that in spite of me being from an English medium, I used to be like, kya baat kar rahe? So understanding these jargons related to stock market was like next to impossible back in the time. But now you can imagine Gen Zs who have the willingness to learn, because I feel it's not about ability. Everyone has basic ability to learn. It's about willingness to learn. And Gen Zs do have that willingness. They are ready to consume more and more content. So I feel when it comes to being more informed, there's a big tick mark. But when it's about impatient, again tick mark. So I think one line describes them, informed but impatient.
All right, here's a counter question. That's a very good point that you made. Here's a counter question. People are a lot more informed these days, but people are also a lot more misinformed these days, and through the same sources. And I think you were trying to mention social media, and it is a very covert advertisement of your YouTube channel. But anyway, speaking of social media, the problem these days is anyone with a ring light and a script with a fake it till you make it attitude can sound like an investment guru. And the reality is a lot of young children, young investors are falling into the trap. Yeah. So if someone is scrolling social media right now, watching us right now, help us understand what are the things they should look out for, the red flags and the understanding, because people are getting swayed and losing lakhs and all their hard-earned money as well.
How many of you have seen an advertisement on social media which says that, get 20% guaranteed returns or 100% guaranteed returns? Anyone? Yes? Some might have seen even my photograph on that. She's saying yes. All these are fraudsters. So I'm very happy that you asked this question, because there are a lot of impersonators who are trying to impersonate me. They use my photograph, of course, without my permission, and they'll have all those purchase in my paisa double type schemes where unfortunately investors get lured into and they get trapped into all of these things. I just feel that there should be more stringent norms on the social media platforms themselves. Because I believe that if someone is using my photograph, and if that photograph is not being posted on my own handle, how does that advertisement get passed through their checklist, and how does it get listed on Facebook or on Instagram? I feel that there have to be more and more stringent norms on Facebook, on Instagram. They have to be held more accountable. That if someone is running my ad, or if someone is running someone else's ad who is a famous face, then there should be more checklists. They should have more SOPs which ensure that only the legit advertisements are, there on social media and not of the imposters.
All right, let's keep advertisements aside. Even the famous faces that you spoke about, we've seen in the past few months, I don't want to take names, but in the past few months, a lot of these famous faces with a lot of these investment options and advisors also getting caught doing a lot of things that shouldn't be done as well. So while there is a restriction when it comes to advertisement, do you think there needs to be some sort of a guardrail when it comes to influencers as well?
I'm not sure how they're going to define that. If they try to put an educational qualification, more than happy for that. I'm a chartered accountant. I would very well support that. But, I somehow again feel that there would be persons who may have acquired that knowledge. They have a very good way of communicating what they have. It's I think, it's the onus on the creator, and it's more about us who should take that responsibility of drawing lines of what is to be done and what is to be avoided. You just mentioned FOMO. So I feel those content creators who just say, buy this stock, sell this stock, this is target price, this is stop loss, these are the ones who actually bring in more of FOMO. But I think a good content creator is one who teaches you how to shortlist a stock rather than which stock to buy. And that is also a different kind of FOMO. I have a new word here. That is freedom of measured optimism. Because a good content creator can actually give you the freedom to think about stock market from a very optimistic way, but the word that I used is measured optimism, because if I just say optimism, that goes to 25 din mein paisa double. But if it's a measured optimism, I think it will be like realistic returns. So go for the right FOMO rather than the wrong FOMO.
I think, this reminds me of my father's quote. He says, apna paisa apne dimag se lagao. I think that is exactly what really applies here as well. Let's talk about the investment strategy as well of a lot of these new investors who make a lot of losses. The problem is, there's this famous phrase, buy the dip, but nobody knows where's the dip. Where does the dip end? So they keep buying the dip, and then suddenly they realize, well, the market's headed nowhere. They move out, and that's when they make a loss. Any advice to all of these young investors who are watching right now? What's the basic golden rule they need to follow in the markets before entering the markets?
I think golden rule comes from one of the latest movies. How many of you are Bollywood freaks? Bollywood freaks, anyone in the crowd? Yes, let me see if you can guess the movie. I'm just going to change one or two words from this dialogue. I've recently watched that movie. That is a very big clue for everyone actually. कि stock market की एक बहुत खूबसूरत आदत है. Of course, it's not stock market. The word is changed. Stock market की एक बहुत खूबसूरत आदत है. वक्त आने पर वो जरूर रिवर्सल देती है. तब तक नजर और सबर. Someone said it right. It's from the movie Dhurandhar. So I think the same thing applies, right? उसमें किस्मत की बहुत खूबसूरत आदत है. वक्त आने पर हमेशा बदलती है, तब तक नजर और सबर. So I think the same thing applies for stock market, right? There are going to be so many phases in stock market where the market is going to dip. People right now are getting scared with a 9% fall in the market, which is like nowhere even close to what we have seen in the past. We have seen COVID with a 39% fall. When I started investing, like I told you, 2006, 2008, I saw a 60% fall in Nifty. My portfolio was down by like 80%. We have seen the dot-com bubble. We have seen even Brexit. We have seen Harshad Mehta scam. So all these market falls were like way more than 20%. With current 9%, I think it's just about nazar, sabr. If those who can do that, these will be the people who will actually turn out to be the winners, because it's always said that market is a place where money moves from impatient traders to patient investors.
I appreciate the positivity, but there's also a sort of toxic optimism that we see in the markets. People say, well, you've not made a loss until you've sold the stock. And with that advice, people are not smart enough in understanding when they need to exit. Do you think this also plays a crucial role, the fact that having knowledge, not just when you enter, but also when to exit?
Of course, that is required. But again, I will have to give the answer in a little bit technical way. There are two types of portfolios that you can create. One is like a core portfolio and one is like a satellite portfolio. I think the word itself says it. When I'm talking about a core portfolio, it's like I'm going to buy this stock and I'm going to gift it to my son when he turns 18. In that, I don't need to time the exit. I just need to buy right, sit tight. But if I'm talking about a satellite portfolio, I need to have knowledge about technical analysis as to when I should buy the stock, when I should sell it. So for all these things, you need that knowledge. Otherwise, if you're a long-term investor, you just need to understand whether the company is good or not. If it is, then it's okay, even if you don't exit at every fall.
Absolutely. And speaking of trends now, we are also looking at a lot of women taking charge of their financial planning and investments as well. What do you think should be done more, not just from your end as an influencer, but also from the markets, the leaders, the policy makers, to ensure that women, the participation of women in markets increases?
I personally feel that lawmakers and all that come at a very later stage. I think home is where the first things start. And I can give you two extreme examples to prove my point. I have a lot of subscribers who keep on meeting me, who keep on telling me about their own experiences. If you allow me, I can share one or two experiences,
Sure.
right? Recently, I did a session at RBI office in Mumbai, and there was a class 4 employee who was sitting in the audience. By the way, class 4 is a person who will be like clerical category, okay? And others were like class 1, class 2 officers. So after my session was over, one of the ladies went to her and she asked her that, आपको समझा मैडम क्या बता रही थी सब? तो she said, हाँ, सब कुछ समझ में आया, मैं उनका मराठी चैनल फॉलो करती हूँ ना. तो उनको पूछा कि आपको किसने बोला इनका चैनल फॉलो करने के लिए? तो बोले मेरे पति पहले वो उनका चैनल देखते थे एंड उन्होंने मुझे बोला कि 2-4 वीडियोस देखो मेरे साथ, अच्छा लगेगा तुमको. एंड बिकॉज ऑफ हिज एनकरेजमेंट शी सेड आई स्टार्टेड वॉचिंग योर कंटेंट. There's one more amazing example that I can share, that sometimes I have live seminars in my hometown, which is Pune, and ऐसे ही एक tier 2, tier 3 city for content. There's one more amazing
important. Cybersecurity is also very important. What more needs to be done in that space to prevent all of these?
I think it's just about two things, right? One is at the regulatory end, where, like I told you, that there have to be a lot of guardrails at the social media platform levels. And one, it is about us. Like we say, Sat Sat Vivek Buddhi in Marathi. It's like basic sense, basic common sense. Ki if someone is saying that someone is guaranteeing like 30% returns on an annual basis, I can share a very funny post which had Nirmala Sitharaman madam, Narayan Murthy ji, and my photograph. And apparently we three were planning to ensure that everyone gets 25,000 rupees every single month. And I have received phone calls saying, congratulations, you are in such a big league now. I was like, are you mad? I mean, why on earth will these people work hard so that you get 25,000 rupees per month? So if you have that basic common sense in place, I think fraudsters will not be able to scam you. Of course, if they're like very high-tech frauds, it becomes a bit tricky. But again, basic level of awareness is required. I can just share one fraud. I'm so happy my mom dodged that. She got a message on her WhatsApp which said that you have jumped a signal and that's your RTO challan. Now, my mom had recently sold her car and she thought that the person whom she had sold to maybe jumped the signal and she got the challan. And she said, I was about to open that, but you know, she said, Rachana, that's mentioned .api. And she said, I know PDF is like .pdf. I thought it is .api, so I blocked the sender. And I said, Mom, I'm so proud of you. You knew the difference between .pdf, .api. And see, that is basic level of awareness, because I'm sure you all know this, that if you download such a file, that file actually enters your system, your Android system, and it can extract whatever it wants to extract, and frauds then easily can happen.
Absolutely.
So it's about being more and more conscious.
Absolutely. It definitely is about being more and more conscious. And every single session, I try to sneak in a personal question as well. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you sitting here also have a similar question. An entire generation bought mutual funds because of 4 golden words. Mutual fund, sahi hai. It's been a long time. A lot of investors, new investors, haven't seen that brilliant green tick ever. So my question to you is, kya mutual fund aaj bhi sahi hai?
100%. No second thoughts. Because if you're looking at mutual funds from a short-term perspective, then it's wrong. Mutual fund सही है, आप किस goal के लिए ले रहे हो, वो गलत हो सकता है. If you are buying a mutual fund with a short-term goal, when you want that money within less than a year, then of course your investment instrument was wrong. Mutual fund as an investment instrument, I don't see there is anything wrong in that, because it's about fund managers with good educational background who, or even expertise or experience, they are managing them. So I really don't feel there's anything wrong with mutual funds.
And before we wrap, your last message to all the investors, all the young investors watching you right now, they of course follow you for tips and advices. What's your message?
Don't follow me for tips, follow me for knowledge, number 1. Number 2, I know this can sound a bit different, but start before you are ready. Because if you wait till you are ready, you will never start. When I started, I just felt that I had basic knowledge, and with basic knowledge, I tried to test waters with very small amounts of investment. So even if I lost money, it was not like, baap re, kal khane mein kaise intezam hoga. It was not like that. So start small. But very important is start, and there'll be no day in your life when you feel that you will have the entire requisite knowledge. Even though I'm sitting on this side of the stage right now, I don't feel I know 100% things about stock market. I don't think any other person can also claim that he or she knows anything and everything about the market. So just start. That's the golden rule. And follow me. My handle is CA Rachana Ranade. Subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon.
All right. On that note, a big round of applause for Rachana Ranade for those beautiful insights. Thank you so much.